This video is sponsored by Top Don.
Oh, yeah. I remember this place. Cool. It's been a while. And welcome back to a very, very overdue What's Broken Now. For those of you who are new to the channel in the significantly over a year since I last managed to release one of these, What's Broken Now is the series documenting the misadventures and progress, or the significant lack of progress, on owning a large fleet of vehicles. I think currently I own 36 different vehicles, including the locomotives, and within these hallowed walls, my friends and I attempt to repair and maintain the fleet. What's Broken Now got placed on the back burner because I've been too busy running the rest of the channel and frankly just have not had the time to be able to edit this series together. But that doesn't mean that we've not been coming up here and getting on with stuff. And now, with our brand new team of people, we have loads of mechanical marvel action to bring to you. But before we can get on with the new stuff, regular viewers will know that there are plenty of loose ends that really need to be tied up before we continue with that aforementioned new stuff. And first and foremost amongst all of those is the big red thing that you see behind me. Regular viewers of the channel will know that Dupes has been out and about recently and is running well. In fact, just last year, she completed her longest ever trip. Not just in my ownership, but in her entire lifetime. However, the last time that we saw her on this series, I was taking her back to the garage because the batteries were showing that they weren't charging after the thing had been worked on. I dropped it off at the garage and they said they would get on with it right away. However, it transpires that their idea of right away is drastically different to yours and mine. Now, I've got to be very careful what I say here to make sure that I only say what's happened and not how I feel. Jupiter came in for an MOT 3 months ago. And as I drove it away, as you saw in the video, it was no longer charging, which, as it was proved on video, it was when it came in. I immediately, the next day, brought the truck back in for them to see what had happened. 3 months has now passed of this sitting outside this place. And I had a phone call the other day that they had an electrician come in who confirmed that it wasn't really charging. 3 months for them to get somebody in to confirm it's not really charging. And this gentleman said that if you rev it hard, it generates 24 volts, 25. It does not. It sits doing nothing. So I've come to take it away. They left the keys in it, so I've walked in, picked it up, to take it away, to take it home, to take the alternator off, to take it to a specialist to see if we can come to the bottom of what actually happened, whether it has just been a spontaneous failure or whether something actually happened. But for now, 3 months without my truck, which I very much enjoy living indoors, has been stuck outside, particularly in the bad weather we've had. So I'm just happy to have her and get her home before it gets dark. So to say that I am unamused at this point would be the understatement of the century. I really, really love this truck. And it's an expensive beastie to have. And when something happens like this, which means that I now can't enjoy it, particularly after it did cost me a very large amount of money to get it through an MOT for some minor faults, which are entirely my own fault. Like, I'm very annoyed that I didn't see the faults on it before because I could have fixed them before they actually became an issue, before I took it in and saved myself the best part of 500 quid. So that's upsetting. In fact, it was over 500 quid, wasn't it? But I don't like the fact that it's been away for so long. If I take a vehicle in that's had a fault immediately after you've dealt with it, I expect to have an answer within a few weeks tops, not 3 months. 3 months is just unacceptable, regardless of what's going on. 3 months to get in contact with me to say, oh, by the way, we've had somebody look at it and they said, ooh, yeah. Absolutely unacceptable. So I now don't have a working alternator and I've got to try and get home as it's getting dark.
Now, I have just done a long rant on picking this thing up about the quality of the service, the problems, the fact it's not working. And then, I don't often drive Jupiter hard, but it's getting dark and I was aware the alternator's not charging and I was angry. So I was running her right through the gears, giving her a good warm through. She's not run in 3 months, and just giving her a good run. And suddenly, lo and behold, it's working again. So I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if there's a loose wire. I have absolutely no concept what's gone wrong, apart from things working again. It's just dupes. It's just dupes, and I mean, I'm overjoyed. For 3 months, girl, you sat outside for 3 months because you didn't want to. I just literally looked down and saw it go. Vroom. I just cannot. I don't. 3 months because you didn't. She is the most LMM thing I think possible. Right, go. Let's get you home.
I have absolutely no idea what was wrong with the truck. Not a single Scooby-Doo. Could have been a loose wire? I don't know. I could speculate, but I feel that's probably not a good idea. Needless to say, I am hugely annoyed and very upset. I am very glad that the truck has fixed itself, and it goes a long way to reinforce my hope that if you just leave a vehicle alone long enough, it will sort itself out. But it has been hugely annoying and very stressful, and a huge waste of time and effort, having to travel up there, talk to them, wasting time on the phone for them to do absolutely nothing, and the thing to just magically clear up on its own. And speaking of things that are hugely annoying, the chimney. Yes, it's still here. None of you guys offered to buy it, and I've not done anything about it, so it's just here. The SA310, however, that has gone. And that's not because Matt came and collected it and took it away. No. After 18 months of Matt not paying any rent towards the car being here and not making any notable progress towards finding it a new home, I ran out of patience and decided to take matters into my own hand and called up my friend Craig. And so, this is the final time that you'll see the Suzuki SA310 on the channel. Now, I know I've said that before, but this time, Craig's here with the transporter and we're just taking it back to Matt. Matt doesn't know this yet, but it's just going to be deposited at Matt because it's now been 18 months since he was meant to be taking this home and he hasn't, so we've taken matters into our own hand. Something like that. Rusty metal, don't let go now.
Oh, that's quite impressive.
Oh, I need a working winch. It's just like being at work.
I think the winch is going to do a lot.
No, it's fine, mate. That's meant to be like that. That's expansion gap right there. We took the car and dropped it off outside Matt's house unannounced under the cover of darkness. Now, many of you will say that was a bit harsh, but I feel after 18 months of not paying any rent or making any discernible progress towards taking it away to its new home, that was fair enough. I haven't done the same with the chimney, however, because the last communication I got off Matt, having discovered a brand new SA310 outside his house the next day, was just scrap it. And that's a shame because I am pathologically against scrapping cars, particularly those that used to work. So it's still here. And for the meantime, I've decided it's mine, which goes some way towards offsetting the amount of rent that is accrued over the last 2 years. So I now have 37 vehicles. I'm not yet attached to the Jimny, and so I'm unsure what its fate will be. I would love to see it restored and returned to the road, but I don't know if that's going to be me. There are some ideas churning in the back of my head, but I'm yet to act on any of those, so watch this space.
Next up, a word from our sponsor, and this month it's TopTon, who have sent us this JS3000 Jump Starter Pack. This thing is a wonderful piece of kit. It's equipped with a battery indicator gauge to show you how much charge you've got left, and a light, so if you have a flat battery under the cover of darkness, you can see what you're doing. This has been exceptionally useful because recently, the Mini's battery decided that it would give up. And rather than doing the normal thing and getting a replacement, I've just used this repeatedly. Every time I turn the car off and I leave it for more than an hour, I have to break this bad boy out to jump the car back into life. And it does it time and time again. I probably need to replace the battery, but until I do, I'm going to keep using this. And if you want to protect yourself against flat batteries, get yourself one. The link is in the video description. And now, back to the shed.
And speaking of things that we've not heard from in over 18 months, it's the Lotuses. The Lotuses. The Loti. Now, these haven't actually appeared on the channel in an age. In fact, it's been longer than an age. It's been an eon. So I guess we should do a quick refresher to bring us up to speed. I purchased myself an orange Lotus Elite with a V8 fitted to it, and I loved it. I drove it about everywhere until the radiator failed and we had to replace it. Whilst undertaking this work, we discovered the sheer amount of bodgery that had been undertaken in order to fit the larger power plant into it, which involved hacking out a lot of the superstructure, which is what makes the fiberglass shell rigid. This rather paused our restoration work as we figured out what on earth we were going to do with the car. In the meantime, I came across a Lotus Elite shell which was freed to a good home, so I acquired it and we bought it here. We began to do the swapping over procedure. However, I don't want to keep the V8 in this car because I don't want to hack about this body to take the larger engine. And also I have to modify this shell because the chassis came from a Lotus Excel, and although they look the same, they are subtly different. And leaving this floating on a stack of pallets wasn't really the way forward, so we had to come up with a solution. I'm doing things. So what I've done so far is this is going to make our base to stop the legs going. These are going to be something easy to roll the chassis over, and the legs will then go the upright onto there to stop them from moving.
This, of course, called upon one of my great strengths, measuring, marking and cutting stuff.
So if I've done everything right, this bit and this bit should be the same size. That's surprisingly good. I'm impressed with myself.
With wood kind of the same length, I could use a square to make sure the angle was at 90 degrees, drill a hole, and then screw it together.
Actually, if you take the select, that is actually how it's meant to be. Genuinely impressed. Didn't expect that.
And with the thing at more or less 90 degrees, I drilled another hole and inserted another screw for added security.
The thing I'm particularly impressed with a first attempt is how dead on I've got this. Looks straight, is straight. Done a good job.
And on that high note, it was time to cut some more wood for more legs.
Anything bigger and my saw will not cut it. I did all of this correctly. This bit goes onto here, like this. The problem that I am realising when Matt came up with this plan, notice the lack of a mat at the moment to enact said plan, is that the Lotus currently is at this height. And you might be noticing that's about a 40 centimetre difference in where Lotus is to where Lotus is going to go. Plus I've got to put boards on this, so it's going to get even higher.
But that was a problem for future Lawrie, and I persevered with the build, drilling more holes and adding more screws, and then drilling even more holes to assemble one complete set of legs.
You'd never know I don't know what I'm doing. disappointed.
Well, back to work.
Yeah.
Apparently getting wood straight and parallel is not my speciality.
I tried. Maybe I should make a woodworking channel talking about building wood things, because obviously I've got a skill at this.
And having successfully built one set of legs, I started on the next.
You know what? I'm going to be very glad when this is all done, assembled, and it's a completed working project. Because at this stage, our project leader, I'm going to call him Matt, who came up with the concept of this and how we should put it together, who is currently not here, didn't actually put any calculations into the load-bearing capacity of this wood. No, this has been probably be alright. So at the moment I'm like, doesn't really seem like a lot of wood for a relatively heavy fiberglass shell. So not to say that I doubt him, but if I'd made these calculations and put this together, you'd all be saying, no.
Soon enough though, I got bored and went to look for something else to do.
You find me underneath my Lotus trying to remove this bolt here, which is well and truly attached. The problem is I don't want to just griller it off because I'm going to break the fiberglass. So as a result, the only thing I can do is put a junior hacksaw in and go. After a large amount of effort, I've managed to free off the offending stuck impact bolt, wrench, socket, that's the one I wanted. That's about as far as I'm going to go, but I'm not going to attempt to actually free it from that. That's somebody else's job. I just didn't want to go on it and rip the fiberglass. So, sorted. I wonder if that separated it or not. So, at this stage, you can kind of see what I'm going for. Obviously, I haven't put the cross braces in yet. It's a bit wiggly wobbly. And I need to move these in. They're just here to kind of get the spacing right on the legs, which I had got right, and then I started filming, kicked it, and it all sprung back to how it wants to be rather than how I want it to be. But the idea is the tub itself is going to rest on 4 scaffolding boards across here. And then the chassis will roll underneath. And you may be going, Lawrie, is that a little bit high? Did you muck up on Matt's instructions? No, this is what we went for. It is a metre from the bottom bit that stops the leg splaying to the top bit. The height of the top of the issue carburetors on top of the current Rover V8 is 86 centimetres, which gives us 14 centimetres of play. That means we can actually get to the engine, muck around with it without having to drag it out. We could have made this a bit lower, made it just a tight fit, but it just makes it a bit easier. Right, cut the bit on this, and hopefully, if I've got the angles right, this should just slot in there like that. Going to take a long screw. I'm going to try to go with a short screw here. Going to take a short screw and screw it in. Then I'll put some more bracing screws in, but yes, good. As we approach the halfway mark in this build, and I have 2 of my supports in over here, it's a good opportunity to show you what an improvement is made to the structural rigidity. For instance, if I push over here now, you'll notice that whilst there is some movement, it's twisting on this end. This end is solid as a rock. Over here, it's wibbly wobbly. So yes, 2 pieces of wood in there makes all the difference. And this is now starting to come and give me some idea that it may actually do what I want to do. It kind of gives this sensation of being somewhat robust, even if bits of it do look slightly aged, like the scaffolding boards that we've acquired to go on here. They're going to cut in a little bit so that the centre of the car has the cutout in the tub, which is for the back of the chassis, which is where the transmission comes through. Well, the drive, the prop shaft. So the boards are going to be spread out about here and here, so they're going to come in a little bit from where they are. These are just kind of holding things together at the moment. But actually, I'm feeling quite happy with this. This is coming together far better than I wanted. So it's that we have some little corner pieces which are going to go into here just to get rid of any of the sideward wobbliness, although it is pretty good, but that will just tighten up a little bit more. So yes, onwards and upwards with more of cutting and fitting and stuff. The only downside is it's poxy heavy.
So it was time for more cutting, and I went to work and even went as far as to make a brace for the legs to stop them from splaying out.
That's the other drill. You've got another drill.
That one smells really bad when you've just spun it up.
It hasn't been used in a long time.
It smells like burning death.
Well, I am realising that going and finding the other drill would have saved a lot of effort.
I bet this looks good on camera.
There he is.
There's an ominous amount of smoke from it. But it still works. That's how you know it was built well, I suppose.
He's a Black & Decker.
And having broken tools, we finally managed to get the body onto its new frame and slide the chassis in underneath, becoming a problem for another day. And speaking of problems for other days, you'll probably remember my tent where I store Humpty and my tractors. This finally gave up and blew apart in a storm, and I tried to fix it by using a tarpaulin, which didn't go very well and was completely inefficient. So that meant I had to bite the bullet and go out and buy 2 more horrendously expensive tents to replace them. And these turned up in kit components, so we had to build them.
I've got mail order tents, which are really heavy, and I'll be honest, the delivery driver's done a terrible job and demolished the gate here at the shed. And yeah, my landlord's really upset.
Ignoring the incompetence of the delivery driver, let's see what we've got.
Sorry. Keep flame and heat sources away from the shelter fabric. The fabric will burn if left in continuous contact with a flame source. When I start the tractor, is that a continuous?
Yes, you've seen the roof above, Jeb.
It'll be alright. Do not use this product environments is not intended, i.e. extreme cold, high winds, extreme heat, heavy rainfall. Well, outside, it's chucking it down and we're meant to have a storm, so good. This is
Not just any storm, a yellow wind warning.
Yes, with up to 80 mile an hour winds is the gov warning. So I'm doing this really well, and also the roads are flooded outside, so this is...
We could head upside down and use it as a boat to escape. Not the fact that the front and the top and the sides are all separate, so it's going to have massive holes in it.
It's fine. We've got some silicon, we can seal it up. Never run the engine of any vehicle or machine inside an enclosed garage. I've done that many times.
Well, you had the front door open.
That's true. And the last time we did it, there was no roof.
As it was chucking it down, we elected to start the assembly inside.
And that's the basic outline of the shed.
The next stage was to sort all of the long pony things into different shapes and sizes to make assembly easier.
Right, so these are the main lengthy ones. So it's going to go in between this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and I've already spaced this out wrong. But I can start building. Stop, that's not helping.
With Charles being his useful normal self, the spine was soon assembled, leaving me to start sorting out nuts and bolts into different lengths. There were different nuts and bolts for different parts of it, and then it was time to start bolting the thing together.
What have you built?
The next stage was to move the spine to the middle of the shed so we could attach the legs and start building up. Charles decided that he would be able to move everything on his own.
I'm genuinely scared for myself. Is this why this is a 2-man lift? Because it's meant to be... No! That was also got close to a nether region there.
We're building the tent. Laurie's dumb. This is upside down. I haven't told him because he's still bolting it in, but that one's also upside down.
Having enjoyed watching me assemble the thing incorrectly and saying absolutely nothing for the maximum comic effect, Charles really enjoyed watching me have to disassemble and then put the whole thing back together again.
But nobody will know of my mistake.
Yes, nobody will know.
So behold, a roof without the cover on it. But that is the skeletal frame of a roof that I've assembled without any errors whatsoever. Isn't that right? Only 6 of the 8 bits that you had to come off were wrong. Yeah. The other bit was fine.
It can't be that hard, just get it... Oh, no, we actually did just...
Just like that.
Just want to clarify that there was 3 minutes of him struggling before I managed to take the phone out.
This up just like this. You shall not pass.
With the rain still pouring down outside, I picked the whole thing up so Charles could start installing the legs underneath. The idea was that we would then just walk it round at a later date, put the cover on it, and be able to stay mostly dry, rather than trying to put the whole thing up in the rain and getting very wet. Most of the collection had been moved inside during this, so it had to happen pronto, but that's something that will happen next time.
So what I managed to do in typical LMM fashion is completely fail to wrap up all of the loose ends. Hopefully we'll achieve this in the next episode of What's Broken Now, which, all being well, won't take an entire year to be released. Hopefully, What's Broken Now will return to being a regular feature of LMM, so watch this space. In the meantime, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this and seeing things getting done inside the shed. If you have enjoyed this, how about clicking over there for one of the previous episodes, or down there for the day that we took the big red thing out for its longest ever trip. Let me know in the comments below if you're enjoying seeing this back and what you want to see us work on. If you want more information on the vehicles in the shed, go check out the website that's got a full list of all of the things that we revealed so far. And if you want to know the full list, join our Patreon, where there is the whole list of all of the vehicles, and that's going to be updated soon because that's now out of date. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Ta-da!